The conference room buzzed with polished shoes, expensive colognes, and ideas trying too hard to sound smart. It was the Global Future Forum, where billionaires, CEOs, and world leaders came to shake hands and nod politely at things they barely believed in. Elon Musk stood alone near the coffee table, sipping tea. Simple black shirt. No entourage. No script. He wasn't there to impress. He was there to speak. And when he did, the room got quiet. "I believe the future of humanity doesn't just depend on energy or AI," he said. "It depends on education, reimagined from the ground up." A few heads nodded. Others rolled their eyes. But one man in the front row didn't hide his reaction. Victor Lang, net worth $28 billion. Known for two things: owning half of Asia's digital real estate and never holding back his opinion. He chuckled, then laughed, loudly. "Education?" he smirked. "You're serious?" Elon didn't flinch. "Dead serious." Victor leaned back in his chair. "Come on, Elon. You want us to invest in chalkboards and pop quizzes now?" A few forced laughs echoed behind him. Elon just smiled. "No, I want you to invest in minds. Because technology without wisdom is just chaos on Wi-Fi." Victor raised an eyebrow. "Cute line." "It's not a line," Elon replied. "It's my life." The moderator tried to move things along, but something had already shifted. Victor smirked and turned away. But deep inside, that sentence had landed, harder than he wanted to admit. Later that evening, the forum hosted a private dinner. Low lights, jazz trio in the corner, 1,000 forks tapping on porcelain. Elon sat quietly at a table with 3 educators and a robotics engineer. Across the room, Victor sipped wine and laughed loudly, surrounded by men in sharp suits. Then the host stepped onto the small stage. "We're doing something new tonight," he said. "We've asked every keynote speaker to give one challenge. Live. A question, a thought, a test." Murmurs swept the room. "And Elon Musk has something unexpected." All eyes turned. Elon stood up slowly, walked to the front. No mic, no notes. "Victor," he said calmly, "you laughed earlier when I mentioned education." Victor smirked. "Still do." "Then let's see how far your education takes you, right now." The crowd leaned forward. Elon pulled out a small tablet, placed it on a table near the stage. "Simple logic puzzle," he said. "No tricks. Took one of our 12-year-olds in the X Academy under 30 seconds to solve." Victor stood slowly, curious. He swaggered up to the tablet, pressed start. A timed visual simulation popped up. Rotating cubes, pattern recognition, binary sequences. Victor's smirk faded. He tapped, froze, hesitated. 30 seconds passed. 60. He stepped back. "This isn't fair." Elon smiled. "Neither is underestimating what young minds are capable of." The room was dead silent. Victor sat down, hard. And in that silence, respect began to replace the laughter. Victor sat in the back of the hotel bar, swirling untouched whiskey in a crystal glass. The room was filled with ambient conversation, but to him, everything sounded like static. He replayed the puzzle over and over in his head, not because it embarrassed him, but because he couldn't solve it. It wasn't a hard problem, not on paper. But in front of a crowd, under the spotlight, with Elon Musk watching, his brain froze. He hated that. He hated even more that the kid Elon mentioned, a 12-year-old, had solved it. He pulled out his phone and searched. X Academy, Elon Musk. Articles flooded in. A new way to educate future problem solvers, where questions matter more than grades. Children designing for Mars. He clicked on a video. A teenage girl was explaining gravity assist using nothing but a tennis ball and a balloon. She was clearer than half his engineering team. Victor leaned back, stunned. He thought about the way he used to learn. Flashcards, exams, memorize, spit out, forget. But this was learning that lived. He stared out the window. Downtown lights blinked below. His reflection stared back at him, but somehow didn't look the same. "I've built empires," he muttered, "but maybe I've missed the foundation." He took a long breath, then did something he hadn't done in a very long time. He opened a blank notepad and started writing questions. The next morning, Elon was back in the lounge of the conference center, feet up on a bench, sipping from a mug that read "Rockets and Tea." He was reading quietly when he heard footsteps approach. "Got a minute?" Elon looked up. Victor stood there, not with his usual grin, but with a face that looked human. "Sure," Elon said, motioning to the seat across from him. Victor sat down. For a moment, neither said anything. Then Victor cleared his throat. "Look," he began, "I've spent my whole career being the smartest guy in every room, and I've made sure everyone knew it." Elon raised an eyebrow. "That sounds exhausting." Victor smirked. "It is." He paused. "But last night, you didn't beat me with tech. You didn't flex. You just let me fail, quietly." "I didn't let you do anything," Elon replied. "You just weren't ready." Victor nodded. "And maybe I wasn't ready to see education as something bigger than memorization. Until now." Elon leaned back, watching him. Victor reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded note. "I watched a bunch of your ex-academy videos. Then I stayed up rewriting my own company's internal training model. I want to build something like what you've built, but scaled for real-world mentorship." He slid the paper across the table. "But I'm going to need help." Elon opened the note. It wasn't a proposal, it was a sketch, hand-drawn, raw, and written across the top. "Learn by building, teach by listening." Elon looked up and smiled. "Now you're speaking my language." 6 months later, a new campus opened in Nevada desert. No bells, no blackboards, no desks in neat little rows. Instead, wide-open workspaces, modular labs, screens, tools, and 3D printers humming side by side. It was called The Forge. Elon funded the infrastructure. Victor brought in the Mentor Network. Together, they designed a space where students weren't told what to think. They were asked what they wanted to build. One of the first students, 14-year-old Leah, had never liked school. Now she was prototyping a water filtration system made entirely from recycled drones. Another student, Mason, was 16 and dyslexic. He couldn't memorize a paragraph, but within 2 weeks, he had written an AI script that optimized solar panel efficiency. Reporters asked, "Is this just another elite academy?" Victor answered calmly, "No, this is where misfits feel like founders." Elon smiled, "Where wrong answers lead to better questions." Inside one of the learning bays, a wall was painted with a quote. "The smartest person in the room isn't the one who speaks the most, it's the one who helps others speak." That was Victor's line. He laughed when he saw it. "Guess I finally got quoted in a classroom," he joked. Elon grinned. "Not bad for a guy who once mocked the idea of education." Victor looked around, at kids soldering, coding, failing, laughing. "Yeah," he said softly. "Not bad at all." 1 year later, the Forge hosted its first public showcase. Students stood proudly beside inventions no one had asked them to build, but that the world desperately needed. There were biodegradable circuit boards, language learning glasses for nonverbal kids, and a drone that planted trees in wildfire zones. Parents watched in awe. Investors whispered. But Elon and Victor stood quietly in the back, arms crossed, smiling like proud, silent co-founders. Then a student named Amir took the stage. He was 13, shy, glasses too big for his face. He cleared his throat and said, "I used to hate school. I thought I was dumb." Then one day, Mr. Lang told me that maybe I just hadn't asked the right question yet. He paused, then smiled. "So I did, and I'm still asking." The room erupted in applause. Victor blinked rapidly, pretending it was the lights making his eyes water. Elon leaned over. "You good?" Victor smirked. That's the first time I've been thanked for shutting up. They laughed. As the evening wound down, a young girl walked up to them holding a small model rocket. Mr. Lang, she said, you're the guy who didn't believe in school, right? Victor chuckled. Guilty. She handed him the rocket. Then thanks for changing your mind. He looked at the tiny model, just foam and paint, but in his hands, it felt heavier than any stock he'd ever owned. Elon placed a hand on his shoulder. Not bad for a guy who used to laugh at education. Victor smiled. No, not bad at all.
If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Subscribe for more inspiring stories.